Step 5. Deposits. The deposits frame is split into 6 columns, namely category of deposits, number of accounts, number of active ledgers, amount drawn in rupees, language used in ledger, and finally action column consisting of 4 icons. They are pencil icon, a definition icon, process icon, and lastly sampling icon, all indicated with green color for completing it and red color if it is incomplete. Deposit product can be selected from the drop-down list that pops up by clicking on the Add button at the bottom left of the deposit frame. Information of the deposit product should be filled in across all the columns. Pencil icon. Editing of data could be done by clicking on the pencil icon in the action column. The raw data should be saved by clicking on the save icon in the action column. Definition icon. All the basic features of the deposit product like minimum deposit, balance with or without checkbook facility, rate of interest, etc. needs to be filled in and saved here. When the process icon is clicked, the screen navigates and displays the mandatory close-ended questions about the deposit product. After data entry or verification, click on the Save Process Flow button at the bottom of the frame to save the data entered. When the sampling icon is clicked, it moves to a screen to record about the legibility, last date of entries. Further, there is an option to upload sample of such records under Sample File head, and the details of which could be entered by clicking on the icon under Sample Details head, which populates after saving the raw data of the sample file. Further, the sample screen has 2 tabs, namely Account Details and Transaction. After data entry, click on Submit at the bottom right and the screen navigates to the Transaction tab to capture data of uploaded sample file and then returns to the deposit frame. The same process should be followed for all types of deposit products held in the society. Click on Save and Continue button at the bottom right of the screen to move to the lending step. Step 6. Lending. The lending screen is divided into 7 columns. They are product, number of accounts, number of active ledgers, amount drawn in rupees, language used in ledger, interest subvention or subsidy, and finally action column comprising 4 icons, which are pencil icon, definition icon, process icon, and finally sampling icon, all indicated with green color for completing it and red color if it is incomplete. Loan product can be selected from the drop-down menu that pops up by clicking on the Add button at the bottom left of the lending frame. Information about the loan product should be filled in across all the columns explained above. The drop-down menu for interest subvention or subsidy covers the category of subvention or subsidy applicable for the loan product. Pencil icon. Editing of data could be done by clicking on the pencil icon in the action column. The raw data should be saved by clicking on the save icon in the action column. Definition icon. Click on the definition icon. It takes us to the definition screen of the particular loan product containing 3 tabs. They are application and sanction process, post-sanction process, and collection apportion. The application and sanction process consist of parameters that needs to be furnished based on which each stage is processed. Post-sanction process also contains account and disbursement parameters and demand and repayment parameters that should be filled in. Collection apportion is the place to type in separately for apportionment of the principal, apportionment of interest, and apportionment of penal interest, and any other apportionment in repayment by clicking on the add button at the bottom left of the frame. And the sequence number indicates the order in which the apportionment needs to take place on repayment. Process icon. Click on process icon, which leads to a screen containing mandatory closed-ended questions about the terms and conditions of the loan product. After data entry or verification, click on Save Process Flow button at the bottom of the frame to save the data entered. Sampling icon. When the sampling icon is clicked, it takes us to a screen to classify about the legibility, last date of entries in the ledger. Further, there is an option to upload sample of such records under sample file head, and the details of which could be entered by clicking on the icon under the sample details head, which populates after saving the raw data of the sample file. Further, sampling screen has 2 tabs, namely account details and transaction. After verification of data, click on submit at the bottom right, and the screen navigates to the transaction tab containing the data to be verified, and then returns to the lending frame. Click on Save and Continue button at the bottom right of the screen to move to borrowing step. Step 8. Investment. Step 7. Borrowing. The borrowing screen has 5 columns, namely source or institution name, amount in rupees, outstanding as per packs in rupees, outstanding as per DCCB book in rupees, and lastly action containing a pencil icon to enter or edit and save the captured data about the loan taken, and process icon leading to mandatory questions for procedure and compliance in borrowing indicated with green color for completing it and red color if it is incomplete. After data entry or verification, click on Save Process Flow button at the bottom of the frame to save the data entered. The borrowing step is one of the salient features of FVR which is not available in FHR stage. Click on Save and Continue button at the bottom right of the screen to move to Investment step. Step 8, Investment. The investment frame is split into 12 heads. They are type of investment, institution name, loan account number, number of shares held, amount invested, rate of interest per annum, date of investment, date of maturity, last interest or dividend received date, last interest or dividend received amount, receipt or certificate copy, and finally action containing a pencil icon and process icon. Click on the Add button at the bottom left of the frame to add data about investment made in all the above columns. The raw data should be saved by clicking on the Save icon in the Action column. Click on the pencil icon in the Action column to edit the data entered. Click on the Process icon in the Action column that would navigate to a page containing mandatory closed-ended questions pertaining to the operating conditions of investment. After data entry and verification, click on Save Process Flow button at the bottom of the frame to save the data entered. Click on Save and Continue button at the bottom right of the screen to move to Non-Credit Business step. Step 9, Non-Credit Business. The Non-Credit Business screen is divided under various heads like business type, number of outlets or counters, turnover amount in rupees, language used in the ledger, ledger sample images or files, and lastly with a pencil icon to modify or edit the data about the number and the quantum of purchase and sale transactions entered. Click on the Add button at the bottom left of the frame to add data about any missing non-credit business done in all the above columns and click on Save Non-Credit Business button at the bottom right to save the data entered. The pencil icon in the action column enables us to edit or modify the data entered, and click on the Save button in the action column to save the modified or verified row data. Click on Save and Continue button at the bottom right of the screen to move to the Hardware and Infrastructure step. Step 10. Hardware and Infrastructure. The Hardware and Infrastructure screen is full of mandatory closed-ended questions to get to know about the availability of computer and its peripherals with their specifications, availability of internet, usage of handheld devices like point of sale POS, usage of biometric devices for authorization with their numbers, availability of uninterrupted power supply like inverter, generator, etc. with their backup capacity in hours, and availability of power sockets and electric earthing facility. Finally, availability of any incumbent of the society with data entry knowledge. If so, his or her name and mobile number should be furnished. After typing all the data requested, click on the Save and Continue button at the bottom right of the screen to move to the final step. Step 11. Summary Review. The Summary Review page is nothing but the data entered both in FHR and FVR in all the steps cascading in one screen, enabling us to compare the data and identify the differences or shortfalls. In this stage, it is mandatory to ensure that definition, process, sampling for membership, deposits, lending, borrowing, and investment steps are completed. If not, the Submit button will not be active. There are three buttons at the bottom right of the screen, namely Download, Previous, Submit, and a plus sign at the bottom left of the screen. Click on the Download button to download the FER form filled or verified. Sign it with a seal of the official concerned and save it in a prescribed format, especially PDF format. Click on the plus sign to upload the signed FER from the saved directory or location, and then click on Submit button on the other side, by which the signed FER is submitted for the approval of the next tier of authorities. This is the final step for FVR submission. With this, we conclude the FVR filling video, and we thank you sincerely for the time spent in watching it. We hope that our efforts will help you in this task. So thank you once again and wish you all the very best.